All right, so pepper spray. That little thing we all have, tucked away, hoping we never ever need, right? Well, today we are going to do a deep dive and really bust some myths about these self-defense tools, especially their shelf life. I have to say, this article you sent over, The Ultimate Guide to Does Pepper Spray Expire, has me a little, well, nervous about what I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually something that's, well, more common than you'd think, you know? A lot of people treat pepper spray kind of like a fire extinguisher. You buy it, you stow it away, and forget about it. But this article, it gets right to a really, really important point. Pepper spray expires.
Okay, so it expires. Like, I knew nothing lasts forever, but how long are we talking here?
So typically 2 to 5 years, but in the article makes this really clear that time span can really vary depending on a bunch of different things.
2 to 5 years. That doesn't feel very long. So it's not just a Best Buy situation. There's actually a reason to, like, replace it after a certain point.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's about effectiveness. See, the active ingredient in pepper spray, oleoresin capsicum or OC for short, it starts to degrade over time. Think of it like a battery slowly losing its charge.
Oh, a fading battery. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. That's a good way to, like, visualize it. But are we talking, like, losing some effectiveness, or does it become completely useless?
Yeah, so it's all about how effective it'll be, or I guess not be, when you need it. And when you need pepper spray, you need it to work, like at full force. And to make matters, well, worse, I guess, not only does the OC degrade, but that propellant, the gas that makes it spray, that can lose pressure too.
Whoa, so it's like a double whammy. The punch weakens and the delivery system fails. Okay, so the expiration date is non-negotiable then. But is there anything else that can impact, like, how long pepper spray lasts?
Storage is huge, like
Yep.
huge GE. And the article really digs into some specifics that I think a lot of people just wouldn't even consider. Imagine your pepper spray like, say, a bottle of sunscreen. Would you leave that baking in a hot car?
I've never thought about it like that, but you're totally right. No way.
Right. It's one of those things you just don't think about. But heat, it's a major culprit when it comes to degrading pepper spray.
Yeah, like purses left in the sun, glove compartments.
Exactly. And don't even get me started on storing it near a heater vent in the winter.
Ooh, yeah, that's a recipe for disaster.
No.
So those everyday spots are out. What about humidity? You mentioned bathrooms before. Is that a hard no?
Let's just say not ideal. Remember we talked about the propellant losing pressure?
Yeah, like a leaky bike tire. Eventually, it just won't work as well.
Exactly. And humidity, well, it can speed that process up big time, make your spray a lot less effective. Cool. Dry place. That's what the article recommends.
So basically, treat it like a prized bottle of hot sauce, cool, dark pantry for the win.
You got it. Now, even with perfect storage, there's another thing that can affect how long your pepper spray lasts.
Let me guess, using it.
Bingo. And I think I can already hear some listeners thinking, wait, you're not supposed to, like, test it out every 5 minutes, right?
Well, it is tempting.
It is. But every spray, even those little test bursts, they use up propellant and expose the OC to air, which, as we know, can make it degrade faster.
Right, of course. So test sprays
Mm.
outside and only when absolutely necessary.
Got it. Now, let's say you find yourself, like, really questioning a can of pepper spray you've had for a while. How can you tell if it's gone bad, beyond just checking the expiration date?
Good question. The article actually gives some pretty clear signs to look out for. First, you always want to give it a good visual once over.
Like a sniff test, but with your eyes.
Exactly. Is the canister damaged at all? Any dents, rust, cracks? That's a big red flag right there.
Makes sense. Kind of like a can of soda. You wouldn't want to use it if it was punctured. What
Right.
about this spray itself?
Yeah, so good point. You want to look at the liquid inside. Has it separated at all? Is it cloudy instead of clear? Those are both signs that it's probably degrading.
So if it looks like a science experiment gone wrong, time for a replacement.
100%. And then, of course, there's the functionality test. Can you actually spray it?
Should you actually do a test spray right then and there, though?
Okay, so this is super important. If you have any doubts about your pepper spray, do not, I repeat, do not test it indoors. The article is very clear about this.
Yeah, that seems like a recipe for a bad time.
Exactly. Find a well-ventilated area outdoors, away from people and pets. Safety first.
Okay, got it. No testing it in the kitchen, just to be sure. But if you test it outside and it sprays, you're good to go.
Right.
Mm.
Well, even if it seems fine, always double check that expiration date. It's there for a reason.
Right. Expiration dates are our friends. Speaking of which, this whole conversation has me thinking, what else do I need to replace? But before we go down that rabbit hole, let's say you do find yourself with some expired pepper spray. What's the proper way to dispose of it? Can it just go in the trash? I don't know. Throwing it out with the trash seems like maybe not the best idea now that we're talking about propellant and chemicals and all that.
Yeah, you're right to be cautious. The article, it really stresses responsible disposal, like big time. It even says pepper spray is considered hazardous waste.
Hazardous waste. Okay, so no tossing it out with the coffee grounds then. What's the best way to get rid of expired pepper spray?
Honestly, a little research goes a long way. Check with your local waste management facility, see what they say. The article mentioned they often have like hazardous waste programs or at least designated drop-off places.
So a quick call or like check their website and you're good. But what if you can't find anything about hazardous waste in your area?
Hmm. In that case, the article suggested reaching out to maybe your local police department or the fire department. Apparently, they often have like procedures in place for dealing with this kind of stuff and can point you in the right direction.
Good to know there are resources out there. Okay, so we've covered a lot about pepper spray, what it is, how it works, when it stops working, and how to, well, say goodbye, basically. But this article, it also got me thinking about some of the alternatives to pepper spray. And one in particular really jumped out at me, the whole runt rechargeable stun gun thing. Did that one stand out to you too?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The article, it doesn't really get into specific brands or anything, but the fact that they highlighted a rechargeable stun gun as a possible alternative, that definitely caught my eye too.
Right. It feels like kind of natural progression, especially if you're looking for something with maybe a little more, I don't know, stopping power, I guess, than pepper spray.
Yeah.
But what makes a stun gun like this stand out? Is it just the fact that it's rechargeable?
I mean, that's definitely a big part of it. Traditional batteries, they can leak, they lose power over time, and I think as we've kind of learned today, that's not really something you want happening with a self-defense tool.
Makes sense. So the rechargeable aspect, it basically adds like a level of like reliability, make sure it's always ready to go when you need it,
Yeah, exactly.
which, peace of mind, right? Okay. Beyond the stun gun, they also talked about um, let me see, personal alarms.
Yeah.
So it seemed like a really good, like non-confrontational kind of option.
Totally. With those, it's all about creating a distraction, raising the alarm, hopefully deterring the attacker without having to like directly confront them, which for some people can be a big plus. The article even mentioned that they can be especially helpful for like joggers, people who are walking alone at night, or just, I don't know, anyone really who wants a little extra security without having to carry something like pepper spray.
Right, right. And they also brought up tactical flashlights, which I got to admit, I'd never even like considered as a self-defense tool before reading this article.
Yeah, yeah, it's easy to overlook them. But tactical flashlights, they can be surprisingly useful, actually. Like that crazy, intense beam, it can temporarily blind an attacker, even disorient them for a little bit, give you a chance to get away.
And I've always thought those things looked pretty sturdy too.
Yeah,
Like worst case scenario, you could use one as a last resort striking tool if you absolutely had to, right?
you got it. Multi-purpose, right there in your pocket.
Exactly.
Mm.
But thinking about all these different tools, pepper spray, stun guns, even tactical flashlights, it really makes you realize that at the end of the day, the tool itself is only one part of the equation,
Yeah.
right? And the article really emphasized that too, especially with that whole bit about self-defense classes.
For sure. Taking a self-defense class, it's not about learning how to be some kind of, superhero fighter. It's about learning how to assess a situation, maybe de-escalate it if you can, and yeah, if you absolutely have to, how to physically defend yourself.
Right, with or without a tool, like you were saying. It's about empowering yourself, giving yourself the knowledge and confidence to stay safe.
Right.
And that's not something you can get from a can of pepper spray or a stun gun.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Skills and mindset, that's where it's at. That's what can really make a difference.
Absolutely. Well, this deep dive has been amazing. We talked about pepper spray, the ins and outs, the expiration dates, how to pick the right self-defense tool, and why it's so important to keep learning and training no matter what you choose. What's the biggest takeaway for you from all of this?
I think for me, it's just a good reminder to never get complacent, especially when it comes to personal safety. It's so easy to like buy something like pepper spray and just assume it's always going to be there ready to go. But like anything else, it's got limitations, an expiration date, and we got to be proactive about maintaining it, looking into other options, and just, never stop learning about how to stay safe.
Couldn't agree more. That's such a good point. And on that note, here's a little something for our listeners to think about. What other everyday things are we maybe overlooking? What about their expiration dates or, just the right way to take care of them? It's just a good reminder to stay curious, right? Keep learning, keep asking questions. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone.